Welcome to Rauta's opinion video about Steelfest 2019. A little bit tired, so maybe my brain is a little bit off, but I'll try to make this sort of a recap, debriefing of Steelfest 2009 Open Air Festival. More or less interesting. I don't know, really. There's lots of things to go through, basically, about the festival in general, about the bands I managed to see, the bands I interviewed at the festival, and random other things. To be honest, I don't know which would be the perfect order, so let's just get our brain started with some beer. This is from Untitled Kukko, Vehnä meaning wheat, so Weissbier in the Finnish way. This time just drinking brutally from the can as it's supposed to be. Now, all this beer and metal talk just remind me of how the festival actually went. As previous years at Steelfest, the festival organizers, promoters, whatever, they have always been nice to just order, make sure that the order goes through and make sure that there is plenty of sun and warm weather. This was the case this year as well. Totally t-shirts and shorts kind of a weather where to enjoy a wonderful amount of wonderful bands, not to mention all kind of friends, and just generally speaking a really nice kind of a festival atmosphere. Now, those of you who have been at Steelfest previous years pretty much know the drill, except there were a few things that kind of got better with this year. First of all, I think people paid attention that this year there were more benches and tables. It was a little bit more reorganized, the whole area. That is, those beer sales booths and whatever tents, they were just in different places. Meet and greet schedule and place also better this year. And in general, it was a little bit readjusted from the previous year. So, at the big scale of seeing the whole festival area and all that stuff seemed me like a little bit of an upgrade. And I was kind of like forewarned about that there might be some really nice surprises. And I must say that overall feeling, this was the best Steelfest ever. Not only because, these minor changes, but also because of a lot of good bands. I didn't actually do kind of a factual comparing with the bands, but in my opinion, I think there were more bands than previous years, and at least the general lineup I think was stronger than ever. Also, personally, for me, as well as my channel, this was the best Steelfest ever. And I think I need to explain this a bit. First of all, Rauta turned 2 years with Steelfest, so big hails to you who have been all along with us or come later on, doesn't matter. But I mean, this was a kind of a nice way to get this birthday thing going. I will talk about that later in a different video though. But anyway, also this time we got 7 interviews all in all, which is our kind of record of made interviews at Steelfest. Also, I got to make lots of, I don't know if fan is the proper word, I don't think I have fans, but let's call it subscribers, people who actually view these videos. So big thank you all of you who I met there. Some even took photos, some just came to say hi and shake my hands and just talk about metal and basically greeting. I'm really thankful for all your support, because without you this channel wouldn't even exist. It's not like I make these videos anyway for myself, So big hails, beer hails to you, my friends, audience, and all that. It was great to have you there. Really made my day, so cheers. Now the big question is then, what bands did I saw, and or which bands, and which made the big impact, and which interviews I did. I'll get back to later on to those interviews, but first I'm gonna give you a quick recap, in my opinion, what made this whole thing so wonderful, besides the points I already discussed. Like I said, everything was like on the basic level way better, but also, and now I'm just gonna, I'll tap a little bit. So I know, I can pretty much check out the schedule because I don't even remember all the bands. I mean, I guess I would remember all the bands, but making this one more smooth and quicker, it's easier if I just have the list here. On Friday, pretty much arrived early on. I think I was there pretty much 2:30 on Friday when the first band actually opened the festivals. Disciples of the Void, Finnish black metal band that actually made quite a nice a release last year. So I think these kind of afternoon dates are, set times are the best for me because at this point nobody's drunk. You don't have too many friends to kind of distract you, or not too many interviews going on. So for me, it's always easier to see these early bands. So Disciples of the Void, it was clear that these guys had played in different bands before. I mean, they are not very experienced with this particular band, but they did quite a show. Good, solid black metal. Sorry, pretty much the same way as with the album. I don't think there were big surprises, but more like a solid black metal show. And it doesn't even, or didn't even matter that, Sean was shining and all that stuff. It still felt like it's a band, at the right festival. And totally worth seeing. Now, that was followed by Trollheim's Grot, a Finnish black metal band that also made a kind of a comeback last year. Also a nice show. As many of you know, it's fronted by Spellgoth, or SG7, who has also been fronting a lot of other bands, mainly Horna, I guess, or also Baptism, whatever. So I think Trollheim's Grot did also very solid. They played in the inside stage, so it was a little bit different. But anyway, also one of those shows you probably didn't want to miss, especially if you like the comeback album, so to speak, which came last October. So now from that, it started to go with the more international lineup, followed by Mysticum, Adventsaro from Australia, Mysticum from Norway anyway, Arcanivus from France, and Antimateria from Finland, and so forth. Personally, I skipped here and there some bands because, first of all, like we always, the saying goes, it's like 50% of the friends you get to see there, and the rest is just another 50%, be it beer drinking or seeing the actual bands or whatever. So that always happens to me as well. Merkskog, I just had to pass. Never a fan, really. Adventsaro, I gave that a go. Really didn't know what to expect because the name just isn't that, let's put it that way, very alluring. But it was actually, there's a sort of a shining going rock star. Didn't expect this kind of band to come from Australia. There was like more like Nordic black metal feeling, if you know what I mean. But it was quite promising. I could imagine giving that one a listen, an album. Once again, I had to like a little bit jump back and forth between the bands, and so I'm not gonna list them all, which I saw. Evil, I guess, was kind of an interesting example of bands that came all the way from Brazil, having the commando hoods and bring the kind of a simple, melodic, yet also a primitive, I could say, Satanic War Master type of a black metal. It was one of those kind of exotic names which you had to see at least for a glimpse. There were some bands which I didn't intentionally skip, but that just happened, like I said. But also some bands that I wasn't so much into. So I guess it makes no sense for me to mention even them. Varigrav or Vargrav recently just released a second album, which is very much like a homage to Emperor in a way. Very symphonic, keyboard-driven, atmospheric black metal, and it worked pretty well, on stage as well. You might have seen, if you witnessed the show anyway, you might have witnessed some familiar names, people from Moon Zero, Azaghal, Satanic War Master, and so forth. So it was kind of like, I wouldn't say maybe superstar kind of a thing, but definitely it was not a no-name lineup. Those know, and if not, you can ask me, and maybe I will just get back to you about those people in there. Unfortunately, the inside stage is never too good when it comes to the actual sound, but it has been better recently, this and probably last year as well. So definitely, Steelfest has improved with this area as well. One of the last bands I got to see was Immolation, which, by the way, we also interviewed, or I interviewed, and that was very nice, kind of a counterbalance band, considering that most bands were like black metal, and Immolation was one of the few death metal bands, and it's sort of a legend with its like over 30 years of career, and I think we did quite nice an interview. So those who are up for that will get to see that in a few weeks. I don't know exactly yet in which order these interviews will come, but anyway, nice live and good sound and all that stuff. So why the hell not to give it a shot? But for me, the headliner of the whole first day of the festival was obviously Mysticum. I really enjoyed their show about 5 years ago in Helsinki when they were playing for Black Flames of Blasphemy. And this time it was pretty much the same intensity, kind of a different type of venue a little bit. But anyway, the light show, the kind of a, how to say, electric atmosphere with, with their kind of a really badass, drum machines and those vicious riffs and just kind of inhumane show. But I was really tired at that point, but gotta say, I didn't watch the whole show. I arrived a little bit late, left a little bit early, but the stuff I saw, I mean, really good once again. And we also did an interview with Mysticum. We had a little bit of a tight deadline there, so we probably didn't get to do as lengthy an interview, but probably some, I would say roughly 15 minutes of talk anyway, and I think it was pretty successful. We talked a lot about drugs and Satan, so those who are in for Mysticum interview, you should be waiting for that. And at least for what it's worth, there are not too many Mysticum interviews, at least not the interesting ones online, so maybe this will give you a little bit of a bonus in that respect. So that night we stayed up like, I don't know, some 3 o'clock before hitting the sack, and then waking up about 9:30, not so fresh and all that stuff, but hey, we had good breakfast at the Hotel Sveitsi. I can totally recommend that to you once again. We were the last year as well. Really nice, kind of a spa hotel. And good breakfast. Then we hit the sauna. You probably might have seen those really short video on my Instagram or Facebook or just here on YouTube, because we had to just a little bit fool around and do some kind of a let's drink to you all of out there before heading to Steelfest. So we had a little bit goofy time there. Sauna always refreshings for you for the next day of festival thing. Not kind of a given luxury, but anyway. So we aimed for Morgul, but I think it was me, probably the reason why we got a little bit late and missed Morgul, because they started as early as 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so we missed it, but luckily we arrived by the time and Oceans were starting. Also, yet another Finnish comeback band regarding late 90s, early 2000 Finnish black metal, or if you don't want to call it black metal because lack of satanic themes, let's just call it symphonic, dark, industrial, whatever metal, but black metal musically anyway. And it was very solid gig as well. It was nice to see that even though Oceans hasn't been active in the past few years, well, they have done gigs here and there, it was like those guys never had a break. Very solid gig as well. And we got to do an interview with them right after the show, which was also as a bonus content. We did Festerday. They didn't play at the show, but given that the same guitar player and main guitar player anyway, and same vocalist, it kind of made sense to do Festerday, because they anyway released a new album in January, so why the hell not? Now, this was a band that, day that got more or less kind of a busy and confused, and also more social in respect of versus Friday. So I missed more bands, also because I had more interview interviews set up for the day. Like I said, 5 interviews in total. I was meant to see Deletier, which I unfortunately did not, because I don't know. I think no. Yeah, I think it was because and they played right after And Oceans, and I was stuck with the And Oceans and the Fester interviews. So by the time I was finished, Deletier had already finished their show. Unfortunately, they were late mini CD, which I think came out in April or May. Uh, that's good. Sorry, MCD release, but they had finished their show, so I couldn't even see them. So iTunes started playing, followed by Total Shelf Hatred, which I totally missed, because at this point I had met some with those, fans or subscribers. Ended up having a few beers, met the guys from Deletier. They actually knew me, like, hey, you are the guy, or maybe someone introduced us to each other and whatever. So we decided to Deletier interview, even though we didn't even had a plan for that. So that kind of got me on the little bit off-road area, and also made me miss a few bands. Unfortunately for me, that meant missing Gal's Word also, because that was one of the bands I tried to interview but never got an answer, and also wanted to see them live, but hey, no banana for me. I also got to miss Dayfago, which is an interesting band from first Philippines and moved to Costa Rica, but all those schedule things kind of just messed up my head. But luckily they came to say hello to me. Got to say I am sorry to those guys. I didn't mention them in the Steelfest preview video. I'm really happy I met those guys. Really nice guys from Costa Rica. Real fighting spirit and real old band. So sorry for missing Dayfago once again. Then there was quite an interesting list of other bands: Rauta, Einherjer, Nagelfar, Asphyx, Audium, Vital Remains, and all that stuff, which I mostly missed. Got, a little glimpse here and there. So it seems like I wasn't even there Saturday listening to bands. But what we got to do was a Nargaroth interview right after they play show. In my opinion, they are rather solid, live band. They have this kind of a circle of, I don't know if it's called disbelief, or just, like, what are these guys doing or whatever. In my opinion, they might have had their amount of weird ass stories, but to be honest, these guys, when I had the interview to talk with Ash, the main man, it opened my eyes to a different Nargaroth. I think it probably is the most interesting interview we got to do. So I don't know. This would be probably hard to say, because I don't want to have these kind of favorite kids, but probably my favorite of interviews, which I think you should consider viewing, whether or not you are a Nargaroth fan. Now, I only see briefly Angwa, which politely declined my interview attempt, which I then again understand, having hoods, no identities, present and whatever, solid as ever, Angwa never basically, fails you. But for me, I guess the best of shows I got to see on Saturday was this Saturday headlining band Marduk. Now at this point I was a little bit tipsy, I guess. I was also very, very tired due to the lack of sleep and all that stuff. But I think we were like the only one to get an interview during Steelfest. And I don't know what happened, but I was told that the meet and greet part was cancelled with Marduk for who knows, whatever reason. And if I understood correctly, also some interviews got cancelled. I don't know why, once again. And I was like ready to leave Marduk a little bit early, because I was really, really tired. But when I got, when I heard that Marduk would actually like to do an interview with us right after the show, that is like 2:30 in the night, I'm like, what the hell, if my camera crew is up for that, which I'm really thankful, by the way, let's just do it. And I think we had some fine chat with the main man Morgan. So there's also Marduk interview coming up. I think pretty much nailed it with the interviews. I don't think there are disappointments as such. The disappointment, if any, is the lack of bands I I didn't get to see. But I mean, that it always happens to me. No matter how much I plan, I get stuck because I like to talk to people, friends, old or new, and because I mean, just sometimes you just want to sit down on the grass, eat your burgers, which I had like 5. I don't know why I mentioned that. Also, those beers, which I had quite a few. I was never too drunk, but I was like these silk smooth, kind of a little bit tipsy way all the way through pretty much on Saturday evening. So it was a really, really nice day to see friends, to have beers, to here and there some bands, do their interviews, and just enjoy the Steelfest, surroundings. Everything was just perfect. I really don't know what could be better, except for always you can bitch about. Wasn't my favorite band Slayer was not there. They were no Morbid Angel. They were not blah blah blah. But that's kind of like beside the point. You live with the setup and lineup you have, and if you don't like it, why buy a ticket or go to the place? So I mean, like, the only thing I don't want to say regret, because that would make me kind of weird, not liking to hang out with my friends. But I mean, like, the only thing I'm kind of sorry for, that I could have seen more bands, especially on Saturday. But I mean, like, the overall festival was just great. Lots of great people. Didn't see any fights. I don't think there were any fights. Some drunken people got, dragged away by the security guys, but for obvious reasons. I mean, if you pass out and you're just like basically foaming, they're like by your mouth because you pass out. I mean, that's like the only solid thing to do. And probably regretting that I didn't have any ice cream, given it was such a hot day or two. So all in all, to recap Steelfest 2019, because somebody's gonna just click all the way to video. This is very boring talk by Jerry, blah 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 blah. Let me put it this way. Steelfest is the best festival in Finland, currently anyway, regarding metal music and all that stuff. I mean, there are always bigger festivals, but they don't have this kind of a intimacy, the kind of a people who are more or less like-minded, and just whether everything was just like awesome, and people who are concerned about some political activities that are supposed to be there, like recruiting for some political party. What can I say? Didn't see that happening. I wasn't recruited, and I mean, like, what the hell? All these rumors are just nonsense. You could as well just go saying that there were also Church of Satan having sex orgies and whatever. That would have been probably more closer to the truth than anything else. I don't know what else really to say. What I could basically figure out from the crowd and people I met. Lots of people outside from Finland, so it seems Steelfest is more and more acknowledged outside Finland by people who actually understand it's a really nice festival. Some people had come all the way from Singapore, United States of America, like California, and some people came from different parts of Europe, obviously. So lots of different people from different parts of the world. And some even, gave me CDs for review. Just, hey, you're the Rauta guy. I'm gonna please review this at some point on your channel. Like, I got like 4 CDs also, which I'm, by the way, thankful once again. And big hello and thanks to the fine Danish guy who bought me a beer and this Jallo that was really muchos apreciados. So what can I say? Big hails to you who were at Steelfest. It's the best Finnish festival. What can I say? If you have still missed it and think you ought to go, start booking your vacation for Steelfest 2020. It's gonna be a blast, I'm sure, even though I have no ideas which bands are just gonna play there. But I mean, what else are you gonna do anyway with that weekend? And once you get those dates set up, start booking your hotels. You will get better slots if you do it first before the other people do. And I hope I won't miss this great hotel once again. Anyway, long talk and little sense to my talk as always. Thank you for watching, and see you soon with more Rauta reviews, opinion videos, and whatever. Take care and have yourself a good summer lots of festivals. See ya.